Hi, everyone. Connie Gallippi. I'm the founder of BitGive, and I have the distinct and wonderful honor and pleasure today of moderating this panel on social impact projects. Some of my most favorite people in the world, and not just this industry, are here today, and we're supposed to be here today. And so I'm very, very excited. So first I'll introduce our panelists, and then I'll actually have them tell you more about their work. And then we have a number of questions that we'll get into today so you can learn much more about them. So first we have Anita Posch, who's here from Austria. She is the founder of the Bitcoin and Company podcast. She's also an educator and a solopreneur and an advocate in the space. We have Fereshteh Forough, who is the founder and executive director of Code to Inspire, which is a nonprofit that started a coding school for girls and young women in Herat, Afghanistan. One of my absolute favorite projects, like of all time. Not to show favoritism, sorry, but have to. And then we have Marco, who is here he's the co-founder of ImpactMarket. He also won the distinct honor of 30 under 30 in Forbes back in 2016 and has some other projects that he's working on as well. And then unfortunately, we were expecting to have Alakanani Itirling here today from Botswana. She is the founder of the Satoshi Center in Gaborone, and she has been an advocate for Bitcoin in not just Botswana, but across Africa since 2013. Unfortunately, she's not able to make it today. We're having some technical difficulties. So Anita and I know her and her work. We'll try to bring as much as we can of that into the discussion today. So Anita, I'll have you begin and just share a little more about you and your work. And then maybe as you do that, if you could include how you're leveraging blockchain and cryptocurrency for social good.
Okay, great. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, as you said, I'm a Bitcoin podcaster, and also I'm a member of the board of a non-profit organization in Austria called Bitcoin Austria, and we're doing informational work to bring like Bitcoin information to the people. And so my story today is about how it was possible to reopen a school in Zimbabwe, in Harare, with Bitcoin donations. And I was going to Zimbabwe earlier this year in February to do a podcast series about Bitcoin in Zimbabwe. And yeah, that's also when I met Alakanani in Botswana. And how do I facilitate blockchain? So basically for me, open blockchains and Bitcoin are a tool to give people and the individuals more freedom and basically a redistribution of wealth. So that's basically my interest in Bitcoin and open blockchains. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Fereshteh, would you like to share more about your work?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for the kind introduction, Connie. Being born as a refugee in Iran, my parents are from Afghanistan, and a woman working in technology in Afghanistan, in a country that there's certainly a lot of pushbacks towards women's not only accessing equal rights and resources, was certainly my inspirations to create Code to Inspire as the first computer coding school for girls in Afghanistan. With Code to Inspire, we really want to address three important things. One is to create a safe and secure educational environment for the young ladies in Afghanistan to access equal resources for education, but also technology. Second, we offer the school for free. We really try to target the girls who come from underprivileged background so that they would be able to pursue technology for their future careers. And the third, which is the most important pillar of the work, is what kind of technical skills we should teach these young ladies so that it can convert into either employment opportunities within the community, or they can be entrepreneur and create their own startups. And either we can, send remote work for them. And in case of like working with blockchain and crypto, for us, certainly the heart and the core of the work we do is really empowering women through technology so that they can be financially independent and gain financial freedom and really bridge the gender, digital, and economic divide. And I think the decentralized systems like internet and crypto, such as Bitcoin that we use, are important tools that they really helped us within the very first day that we opened the school since 2015 to really gain those financial freedoms and help the girls. And as one of the very early nonprofits in the crypto space, we've been receiving donations in cryptocurrency, and we are a long-time believer in holding it because we want to use the right moments to really put it in a way that we can help the circular economy in Afghanistan and empower women. So that's how we try to leverage cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in Afghanistan with women.
Amazing. I'm sure now everyone understands why I'm like, this is the best. Yeah, you're doing incredible, incredible work. I just absolutely love it. Marco, how about you? I know you're working on this ImpactMarket new endeavor of yours is using this technology for universal basic income, but in a very, very interesting and innovative way.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, this started. So previously, I started my first startup was about charitable giving and raising money for charities and getting like corporations, celebrities for charity auctions, crowdfunding, all that kind of things. That is more focused on the fundraising. And all those years, I've been kind of always struggling with, okay, we can raise money, but then how we manage it and how we distribute it and how we reach the end of the line, the tail on the beneficiary itself. And that's when like blockchain makes a lot of sense. And it allows us to basically to reach all these people and bankers and in a very easy way, they can just transfer money virtual for free. We are using a Celo protocol, so it's basically a fork of Ethereum, but in proof of stake. And it allows us to, we deployed several UBI. So basically here, like the local social organization can set up a community, a UBI community that is basically a smart contract where people can send money to that contract. And it has different parameters where it says how the money can go out of that contract and to who and which rules it has. So anyone in the field, like any beneficiary of those charities, can just claim money from that contract on a daily basis, and they can spend the money in whatever they want. We are now with over 500 beneficiaries we have like refugee camps in Ghana, communities in Nigeria, Cape Verde. We have a lot of favelas in Brazil. We are expanding quite fast. And we are now also trying, like we are paying people for each kilo of plastic they collect and deliver to recycling to create an extra income. So now we are testing these kind of additional layers of revenue streams for these people while doing like helping the environment in this case. So in 2 weeks, we collected like 1 ton, or the people collected 1 ton of plastic, and they sell it to like the more centric plastic recycling companies. And that money goes back to the system to pay more collection and also to help fund the UBI. So it's kind of the plastic funding all of these, but also the philanthropy. So people can just send money to the contract and see like in the map and everything transparent. But basically, that's it.
Wow, very cool. That's awesome. I want to learn more about this. It sounds great. That's one of our goals that we've been working on at BitGive is leveraging the tech, but how do you reach the end beneficiary? That's the ultimate goal, right? That we don't have to convert it or worry about any of that we can actually get the funds to the individuals that really need them. So that's awesome. Great. Well, I think, we have the luxury of some extra time today that we didn't expect. So I have a lot of really interesting questions that I'd love to dive into with you guys. So I think, one thing I wanted to touch on, because you're all working in different parts of the world, is that, you know, there's often a discussion on panels like this about what the obstacles are to your work. And a lot of times people talk about regulatory constraints and things like that. But I think it'd be really, and we can also talk about those things, but I think it'd be really interesting to hear, based on the different places in the world that you're doing work, what kinds of obstacles you've seen in implementing the projects that you're working on or involved in. Excuse me. So can we start with you, Anita?
Yes, sure. So just to say that at the beginning, I don't have like an NGO running or a project like that. I'm doing the podcast and try to educate as many people as possible. And one of these projects was going to Zimbabwe to learn more about, is Zimbabwe ready for Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin ready for Zimbabwe? Because when we Bitcoiners try to explain Bitcoin to other people, very often we say it's perfect for a use in a country like Zimbabwe. And so when I went there, I realized that the people have obstacles in their daily life that we can't even think of, you know. So, I mean, basically, Zimbabwe is a kleptocracy. So the ruling elite extracts natural resources and money from the country and is only there to enrich themselves. And adding to that, there are currency controls, so people cannot freely transact with other countries. For instance, if you have a business and you want to import some products, you have to ask the Central Bank of Zimbabwe if you're allowed to pay the contractor in the other country. And so the daily life is very hard for people there. The banking system is completely broken. It's very expensive to use. The local currency is called RTGS, is losing value every day. When I went to Zimbabwe at the beginning of February, you had to pay 23 RTGS for $1. And when I left 3 weeks later, you needed 43 RTGS for $1. So, and people know that the US dollar is a hard currency compared to their own local currency. So that's also the reason why in Zimbabwe, they immediately understand what Bitcoin is and what it can do for them, because it's uncensorable, permissionless, and they can transact it freely. And so that's the life situation is very hard. I mean, the average income for a maid or a gardener is about $10 a month, and they get, of course, the local currency. And a teacher, for instance, or a doctor in a hospital earns like $200. But the internet connections, for instance, are very expensive. They cost almost as much as here in Austria. And so that's also an obstacle for the use of Bitcoin in Zimbabwe, of course, because people are buying so-called internet bundles. So maybe they can only use WhatsApp, for instance. They can't download a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet like we do. And yeah, another obstacle, of course, is that the transaction fees on the Bitcoin blockchain sometimes are very high. So the Lightning Network basically would be very important to use for the people there. And also to have ways to earn Bitcoin would be a great thing, because African people are very young and they don't have jobs, and over the internet they could earn some money at least with Bitcoin. So and another obstacle in Zimbabwe, I have to say, is that the government, I mean, you don't have basic human rights in Zimbabwe. And Miss Aura, the teacher or the headmistress of the school I was doing this call for donations with, she really was scared. She didn't know if we didn't put the call for donations on the website of the school, for instance. We put it on my website because she was scared that maybe she is going to have problems then. So yeah, it's there are actually many problems to use Bitcoin in Zimbabwe, but it works. That's the other thing. And in Africa in general, most people think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a scam. because they have been scammed in the last years so often that they really don't believe anymore that this is a real thing. So these are basically the obstacles for Zimbabwe and Africa. They are quite similar, but I mean, Zimbabwe is even harder, the life there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I think it's really important for people to understand these things. And I think that's why you went there. That was the impetus behind going there. And in this industry, oftentimes, which is the exception with our awesome panel today, but oftentimes people are very first world focused, very developed country focused. They often don't think about what might be going on in other parts of the world and how this technology actually can help instead of, this sort of unfortunate trend in developed countries around trading and making money off of these, and creating random coins and things. I mean, it's just the beauty of the tech is just totally lost, I think, to a lot of people in the developed world. And I think sharing these things is incredibly important for those that aren't able to go like you were to visit and actually learn. So, so thank you. Okay, so Fereshteh, I imagine you have some very similar type challenges as well.
Yes, I agree with some points that Anita said, and I think there's a lot of similarities between Afghanistan and Zimbabwe, and I think a lot of other developing countries who do lack infrastructure, and the same as Afghanistan. Well, Afghanistan being really passing a lot of decades of war and conflict, so it made the country to have a very basic infrastructure to really support technologies like cryptocurrency and adaptation of it. I can say that from the work we do have a class for blockchain and cryptocurrency, which we just started about a couple of months ago. And I can say that our organization is probably one of the very first and early organization and people who started talking about crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin in Afghanistan, and even sending crypto to Afghanistan. So the very important, I think, challenge here for us first is the lack of understanding. And not a lot of people know about this. And to Anita's point, a lot of people, when we talked about this, they thought that, oh, it's a scam, or like, what does even that mean? Like virtual currency, we can't touch it. Like how that's possible, like I think the lack of information is the big hurdle for people to accept that. And then certainly the adaptation of it. So as again, the lack of infrastructure and the target group that we are working with, who are women, a majority of them are unbanked, or they don't have access to any kind of financial institutions. Even though the beauty of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is financial freedom, and accessing the global economy. But the way that, for example, in Afghanistan, if you receive any kind of cryptocurrency, it's very difficult to convert them to fiat currency, because a lot of them at the end of the story wants to have cash and spend, the cash. So it is a big issue for us now in case of like how we can convert the cryptocurrency into Afghani, the fiat currency, so that people feel more comfortable about accepting it and using it even into day-to-day, businesses. And the third is the regulatory constraints, because it's something very new in Afghanistan and not a lot of people talked about it. I tried to, reach out to different ministries and, law enforcement, governmental organizations to talk about if there is any, laws about this, but because it's very new, they don't know what to do with it. And I think that's also would be a challenge for us, because if we want to start, using it and then sending it, we want to be, cautious about what the government is thinking about this and not really making an issue for ourselves. Although with the work we do, I think we set an example of how amazing is this technology by sending the crypto to the girls in Afghanistan. that, so that they would be able to use it in a way that not only financially empower themselves, but also the community. So we hope that we can push this conversation as much as we can to raise awareness, but also explore possibilities of using crypto more widespread.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. I know it's been a challenge from early on for you and your work to actually send the girls Bitcoin, because you don't first want them to be in any sort of danger or trouble by dealing with this stuff. It's the last thing we need. And of course, they need real money that they can put to use. And if it's not being able to convert, then that's a very, it's not helpful. So I hope, that's one of our goals too. I hope we can work together on this and push this through. I think it's really important, and the infrastructure is key globally. So, okay, so next we have Marco. It's interesting, actually, this panel and this question specifically, because I think you all are working in really unique places and contexts. So I'm curious to hear what your obstacles are that you've been facing.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we look at blockchain as that technology that can bypass everything. So we are kind of trying to do that. So we are based in Portugal, but yeah, and we have the government is supporting us. They know what we are doing. But for example, in Venezuela, that we also have pilots, it's very hard to cash out, and there is a high inflation. And what we actually give to people is a stable coin of dollars. So we never talk about blockchain or whatever. It's just, here's the app. It's just 1 minute to set up, and you can get dollars. And then you can choose to show it in your local currency. But when you transact, we tell people when you transact, what really is being transacted are dollars. So for example, we see in Venezuela, people are saving those dollars, and they are seeing the balance going up, because they know that eventually they can cash out. Because, well, in Venezuela, we have to do kind of peer kind of cash outs. Mm-hmm. But the thing about the cash out is only the first time or the second time that we need to do that, because it's just for the people to believe that the money that is there is actually money. And because we are using this blockchain, it's actually free, virtually free to send. Make a transaction is instant. So also merchants want to be protected against hyperinflation. So everyone is incentivized to use dollars or to cash out in a peer-to-peer manner. For example, I'm the only one that have a bank account in this community, or I can cash out. So I can be the guy that can put a commission to cash out for others, for example. So it creates a kind of a market between everyone, and also the merchants want to provide cash out to the beneficiaries. And the merchants want to have all those beneficiaries and want to do that and accept this kind of payment, because they will be able to reach a wide audience that previously didn't have buying power. So this starts to force them to start kind of transacting, because they can get $1, $2, $3 a day each person. And as we expand the kind of the dynamics of the economic in the grounds, from all these kind of hundreds of people transacting starts to build up. So these people can start starting their own businesses, to getting together. For example, one case that happened in the first favela was, so when they were deciding who are the people that will be starting to get UBI, one of the women, so most of our pilots are supporting women, by the way. And women, single moms with 2-3 kids are the most common that we have been supporting. But for example, in the first community, a lot of people, because there was one person that the husband kind of beat her and steal all the money and all the phones and everything. So most of the people in that community were saying, no, maybe it's not a good idea to put her in this program, because all the money will be gone, and also for that guy, and that's not the thing. But a few of the people said, no, this is exactly why UBI makes sense, is to take these people out of their kind of struggling situation. So here's what we will do. Some of the women just saved some money from the UBI they were getting to buy a phone to the other person. So she can collect also that money when she is in the charity. So she has a phone. And she started to save the money, and now she can afford her own house, so to pay in the monthly. And also she's the one that is collecting more plastic on top of the UBI. So one of the things that we see is more the smartphone thing. That's kind of the real and access to the internet, but usually those communities have a kind of wireless that they can, if they go to a specific place. For example, in Nigeria, they have to walk a little to go to a place where they can find wireless. Yeah, that's kind of, we believe that smartphones and internet connection will improve eventually. It's growing very fast, so it's just a matter of time. What we are more focused on how to reach these people. And also there are some limitations. For example, in Venezuela, some apps related with crypto are not available on the store. So we have to create a kind of an open source and an APK so we can send, so they can download directly to the phone. But regardless that, as soon as the people realize that it's $1, it has value, I can convert it so after that, they transact within themselves. So after that is kind of, okay, go ahead. And then, well, let's see if there's some problems in the future.
Yeah, oh, that's really cool. I've often wondered with a lot of the projects that maybe were earlier in the social impact space of this tech that were more token oriented. I often wondered how they would actually help people, because what are they going to do with these tokens? So yeah, I'm really
we never talk about talk about crypto or tokens or blockchain. This is an app as easy as your WhatsApp, and you have dollars there, and you can get dollars. That's US dollars, and they say, oh yeah, the US dollars is cool.
It's beautiful because
end of the conversation. And then we say, if they start asking, I say, okay, this is kind of Bitcoin, but it's worth always $1. Oh, yes. Bitcoin, yeah, that's cool. Oh, and then some of them even kind of bought some crypto because they started to dig in the technology.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Cape Verde, our pilot is with some young, so people that went out of college but now is unemployed, but are young people with kind of knowledge about the technology. So they kind of started to dig in to understand, okay, what is this technology? How are we receiving dollars in Cape Verde that usually is only through PayPal, and if we have luck? How is this work? So now it's interesting that this technology is amazing because it's allowing us to do this, that we are not, how can I get involved on this? How can I program on this? So, so this is awesome. Interesting because build them skills, because we believe that this industry will be like the next 10 to 20 years will be like the new thing of the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of kind of side effects that we are seeing. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I really was impressed by the point that when they realize that it is real money and it has real value, that they're willing to then trade it and use it with merchants, and merchants are willing to accept it, because that breaks through that whole issue of, people creating random tokens and random economies around them and expecting them to work somehow. It sounds like this is actually working, which is great.
If US dollar is very difficult. If it is not stable, it's very, very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay. So I want to be mindful of the time and see how much more we can cover, because I think you guys, of course I'm biased, but I think that the work you guys are doing is the most important work in this industry, and perhaps even broader than that in many ways. And so I want to make sure we cover more of what you're doing. I think it would be interesting to talk about how your work has evolved over the last few years. I mean, some of you have been more involved in this for a long time, and some of you for a few years. So maybe just kind of talking about how you've seen things change from early on to now, and how they've hopefully gotten better, but in some cases, maybe not. Anita, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, I came into this space in 2017, just before the last price all-time high. And back then I decided to work in the space, to be an educator about Bitcoin in the German-speaking world, actually. And I mean, after a time, I realized in Western Europe, in Germany and Austria, people are not really interested in Bitcoin. I mean, they are interested in it only as a tool to gain profit, you know, like to make quick money. And that was never what I was interested in. And so I realized, okay, basically Bitcoin is more for people in Africa or in other regions of the world who need it much more than we do here. And that was the shift. Then I started doing English education, and it was also the reason why I went to Zimbabwe, because I thought, where could I support the whole thing the most? It's not here in Austria. It's in Zimbabwe. I have a friend living in Zimbabwe, so I had the chance to go there and to get early contacts, you know, to do these interviews with the people who are using Bitcoin already. And I can say the same as Marco said before, as soon as people realize that this is real money. I mean, Aura, the school director, she said to me, you know, and then I had this Bitcoin on my smartphone and I had to cry because I didn't know what I'm doing with this monopoly money. Yeah. And I connected her to a guy, a Bitcoiner, and she met with him like peer-to-peer, and she said, and he really gave me money. And I said, are you sure? and he said, yeah, of course, that's money. And it was so fascinating to see also, because then immediately she started to use it. And she said to me the last time, you know, the first time I spent all the Bitcoin for US dollars and for the school. This time I learned and I saved some parts of this fraction of a Bitcoin for later, because now I know it will gain probably. And she also started to use it to pay for other freelancers in Kenya or Ghana, I think. So wow. As soon as they are set up in a way, you know, with the basics, and have, I guess Fereshteh has the same experience, they immediately start to learn about it and use it. And that's, I think, very fascinating. And that's also what keeps me doing this, yeah. And yeah. maybe I can add something about Alakanani in Botswana.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because I went there then also for a week, and we did a Bitcoin meetup together in Gaborone. Yeah. So Alakanani is doing these meetups in the she called that the Satoshi Center, and to educate people, students on Bitcoin and blockchains. And she's doing really great work there. And she's the center of Botswana, I think, in terms of peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading. When I was there, she got calls on her phone all the time when people were asking her how they can get Bitcoin. And she's really great, because I saw her talking to the group, and she was like a preacher, you know, like preaching the love of Bitcoin and that they shouldn't fall for scams and all those other things. So she's really doing a great job in Botswana.
She is. I idolize Ala. She's amazing. And having known that she got involved in this technology in 2013, and perhaps even earlier, she kind of knew about it and then kind of had to deal with some very unfortunate family situations and then came back to Bitcoin. And being in Botswana and with the challenges she faces, like today, she was not able to join us because she doesn't have a strong internet connection. But she's creating this community there, and a center and a school, and teaching people, and she's teaching children, she's teaching adults, and, you know, facilitating trading and cashing out. And she's just really creating a community there around this that's knowledgeable and can really benefit from the technology, which I think is great. And I think it's important, like you said, basically that education is the key, right? That we have to be able to reach people, but in a meaningful way, so that they actually understand this isn't a scam, it's not monopoly money, it's very real. And then suddenly the light bulbs goes off and they start learning about more. And like Marco said, they want to learn how to code, and they get, you know, it's like, And I know Fereshteh has, girls learning now how to code for blockchain and crypto, and it's just super cool. So, okay, so I'll stop talking and let Marco answer. Oh, I'm sorry, Fereshteh. Talk about how you've seen things change over the years. I know you've been involved for a long time as well.
Sure. Well, when we started that school, 2015, just the fact that we're talking about only technology and just encouraging the girls in a young age to learn about coding and computer science was very difficult. We only had 50 students, but since then we've educated more than 250 students in our coding school in different coding classes. And as I said, we started a blockchain crypto class that we have now about 10 students who are learning, and they're getting into the coding aspects of it. And if you see our Twitter account, they tweet every day about what they learn. It's very heartwarming to see that they're very excited about learning this technology. But in case of certainly talking about how we can empower them financially, we've done about 20 outsourced projects worth of $20,000, which went to the girls' pocket. These are the girls that never get paid, and the average monthly income salary in Afghanistan is $150. So some of them actually made triple or double than the men in the family. But for us really to think about, they would be the people who receive the money firsthand. It's very important because right now we receive the payment and then we send it to our account in Afghanistan and they get the cash. So to make that happen, creating this blockchain crypto class, our goal is that the girls are from that geographical region and they know the issue. So they should just learn how to code and create the solution around it. And to make that happen, we're also actively thinking about setting up the first Bitcoin ATM in Afghanistan in our school, because that's, I think, the issue of when you want to convert your crypto to fiat, that's a big issue. And once we solve that piece of a puzzle, I think the next would be very easy. So we're working on that, and hopefully our goal is to maybe by the first quarter of the next year, we have the ATM set up in our school so that the girls work around it, they learn it and send and receive some, like crypto and understand it. And then we would be able to maybe transfer that to a public place and encourage more businesses to use it and do research about how it really changed the life of the people in there. So we are very excited, and I think there's certainly a big potential for this project to grow on a scale, and especially looking that the women would be at the front of this revolution, I can say, in Afghanistan. It's very exciting. So I'm very hopeful to see what comes next in 2021.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm seeing a scene from an inspirational documentary here. This is just super cool. Wow. I know I'd love to be a part of that as much as we can at BitGive. If we can help maybe do another campaign with you guys or anything we can do to help make that happen, I would love to see that happen. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so Marco, how about you? I don't know how long you've been working on ImpactMarket, but I think you've been in the space doing other things, like you mentioned, related. So maybe you can share a bit about, how you've seen things evolve.
Yeah. So ImpactMarket is online 3 months now. So it's quite new. Yeah, but I've been in the philanthropy space and also developing fundraising platforms for a while. And yeah, I think that this technology changes everything on the philanthropy space. It's just a matter of bringing the theory to the real world and implement it and just do stuff and see what it works. But I've been seeing a lot of the DeFi is really interesting, and what we also the beneficiaries have been asking. So initially it was but you are giving us money, but why are you giving us money? But we don't need to do anything. And then it was a mess. People no, that's there is one community that is very Catholic, and they say, no, if you are giving us free money, you are from the devil, and we don't want that. And then wait, wait a minute. And then we have to go and talk. And then they say, okay, now we understand. That's okay. So one of the things that they asked, interesting, was microcredit and collective savings. And this is something that is very, very easy to do with blockchain. So something that they can just put the money to save altogether, because it's altogether generating interest. And that interest can be kind of like a lottery for one of them. Or just they asked for microcredit, and with a smart contract, you can execute an instant microcredit like for anyone. And they asked like, but even if my name is dirty on the bank, I said, no, we don't care about the banks. It doesn't matter. And I said, oh, that's amazing. And so I see that, well, this industry, I'm also kind of a nerd. I love the technology. I'm from the technology side. But I think that this industry is now finally going out of the traditional developer that look at this as a way to maximize profit or just to explore the technology. We are now seeing exactly what blockchain should be meant to do, is to reach all the ones that the system does not reach, and with a very good execution. So it's something like in Africa, a lot of went directly from phones. They didn't have phone. They went to smartphone right straight away. Here, I believe that the financial system for a lot of people, they will never know like the centralized system. They just go to an app, it works. I can generate interest and ask for microcredit and transact dollars for free for anyone in the world. Like, I don't need to do a KYC to do that. I don't need to open a bank account. I don't need credit score. So that's why they are so amazed by this, and I became more amazed at how this technology exists for 10 years and it's not so widely yet distributed in these places. Yeah. But I think that COVID had like a kind of a trigger on that as well.
Yeah.
We have to look at these kind of tragedies through a good perspective. Yeah, I'm seeing that now we are onboarding, like yesterday we onboarded like more communities than all the previous 3 months, because now one favela adopts it, the second favela as well, and then they talk between themselves and they say, yeah, if you want to cash out, you can do this way, or you can cash out just one person, and they said, oh, okay, that's nice. Oh, you are using it? Yes, every day. Oh, great. So it's free awesome. Money. Even if you send free money to these people in dollars, they eventually will do something with that, because, all of us have this money and this is real money. Well, let's just, let's figure out a way to use it, because these people actually need this money. Because most of the people today have Bitcoin and not from like a developed country. That doesn't make sense. It has to be the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear that it's spreading, through the community, because people will listen to people they know instead of random technology people. Okay, so our time flew by. Here I thought we had a lot of extra time and we could go into all sorts of other things, but we're down to 2 minutes. So what I think I'd like to do, if you guys can, quickly do this, is since it's the holiday season, I'd like to do a fun exercise of what is on your wish list, or what would you like to see happen next with your work or within the industry. Anita?
Oh, on my wish list is, the possibility for people to earn Bitcoin, like over the Lightning Network. I'm excited. There's something called Podcasting 2.0 now, where podcasters can earn streaming money, so Satoshis, while people listen to their podcast. So, and with all those micropayments, there will be new forms of paying content creators and people who are working online. I think that's a great thing. And in the future, I'm excited and very optimistic for the future of Bitcoin and the freedom for people. And I'm looking forward to do interviews which I did last week with, for instance, the Feminist Coalition from Nigeria, who also connected Bitcoin donations for their peaceful protest against police brutality. And so, that's great. Basically the way to go also for next year for me, and I'm excited.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so we're almost out of time. So Fereshteh, go.
The wish list is to set up the first Bitcoin ATM in Afghanistan to build Afghanistan 2.0.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
And for us next year to become the biggest private UBI experiment ever done with over 100,000 people, and to end extreme poverty by 2030. It's like our goals, and we are now looking for, if you know, like more communities that actually need UBI. We in the most difficult places. That's where we want to go. So just let us know. We have some money to give.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone who's listening and will listen later helps you all reach these amazing goals. I really, really enjoyed this time with all of you and talking with you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, which I feel like it just flew by. But for everyone who's watching now and who may watch this later, we're going to put together some information for each of these speakers, including Ala Kanani, who couldn't make it today, and push it out on my personal social and BitGive social, so you can actually follow them and learn more about each of them and their work. So thank you so much,
Connie,
each of you.
Connie, can you listen to me?
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Connie, are you listening to me?
Thank you.
Yes?
Connie, I want to know what's in your wish list.
Well, thanks. Actually, we have quite some goals with BitGive that we're trying to reach. We've built a platform, and we've started working with over 20 NGOs, including Code to Inspire with Fereshteh's NGO. We'd love to scale that. So we're looking for support for BitGive as well as our NGO partners to scale our platform and our impact globally and beyond the 20 NGOs in 24 countries we've already been so lucky to work with. So.
Great. Bueno, I wanted to share with you, you have on your side today, you had also someone doing some drawings, yes, of your talk. So we will share this drawing to you and with all the community in our Twitter later, yes. But it's a very nice work that we have done secretly, yes. Sorry for her because we didn't place her on stage before. But we've been doing secretly since the first day. So every English talk we had has its own summary, yes, visual summary for you to share. So thank you. It was awesome. very great to host you. Yes, thank you, Connie, for moderating. Thank you, Fereshteh, Marco, and Anita. Yes, and I hope we see us again, but in real life in Guatemala 2021. Okay? So now, bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.